Hello everyone, and welcome to another Gear Talk. We do this every other Thursday at 5:30 p.m. This week we're going to finish up talking a little bit about One Day, and then we're going to continue on from there. We're going to be talking about Benedicto and also Sylvia Santiago. That's right, we're talking about Dom and Maria's kids. It's never a fun topic to talk about children in Gears of War, because there's never really a happy ending most of the time, and in this situation, it is a very, very dark ending. So, a little bit of some heads up for anyone who doesn't like to hear about the final stories of children. This is not going to be the easiest thing to finish at the end for some people, because it is a very serious topic involving children. So, you have been forewarned, but let's jump right on into it. Benedicto and Sylvia, also known as just Benny for Benedicto, and Sylvia is just Sylvia. So, covering both of them, because of the fact that they're very intertwined with everything, there's no real reason to cut them up into two separate videos. When it comes to Benny and it comes to Sylvia, you can kind of cover them both together. They unfortunately did not have the longest part of the story we have in general. In fact, the only real in-depth we get from a lot of things involving them is either from the books or the One Day comic. That's really about it. One Day is the only time we canonically see how they actually somewhat went out at the very end. I'm going to do my best to refrain from like the heavier wordage for how things happened, but you do see at least how things occurred at the very end of the story for Benny and Sylvia. But we're going to get to that. We got to start at the very beginning. So, this is going to kind of intertwine with a little bit of Dom and Maria too, because again, they play very heavy roles. They are the parents of these two. Starting off, we'll just cover like how things came to be for Benny, since Benny is the oldest at 4 years old. So when it comes to Benny, it actually started off with Dom and Maria together as just children. They were teenagers, and this is when Marcus and Carlos had already gone off to war, and Dom promised them, hey, in 2 years when I'm able to enlist, I'm going to join you guys, and I'm going to enlist also when I'm 18. So you do learn from the COG, from what's about to happen, that apparently you can enlist a little sooner than 18, but I think you need like parental, basically the parents saying it's okay, or you need parental consent that says you can go in earlier, because the fact that Dom accidentally gets Maria pregnant with Benny. So this comes down to he needs to figure out how to basically provide for the family he's going to have, and it is decided he's going to actually join the military a lot earlier than he anticipated. So at an early age, around 17, he actually does enlist, and he's going through basic training. So because of Benny is the whole reason that we have Dom going as early as he did, and he actually does go through the commando program, and he does succeed as a commando and brings the knife home. So Benny is born, and he takes some time to actually be with Maria and help raise Benny for a little bit of time before he is again enlisted out. So by the time he's actually heading out, this is roughly maybe about a year and some change after Benny is born, we actually do learn that Maria is pregnant once again with Sylvia, who is now going to be on the way. But during all of this, Dom doesn't really know about when the child is going to be born. He knows that Maria is pregnant. He most certainly knows Maria is pregnant, but he doesn't know when she's going to be born. He's under the impression it'll be after he is deployed out, but we do end up learning that Sylvia is like prematurely born. There's no health concerns or anything, but she is premature, and she is actually born while Dom is out doing Operation Leveler at Ashfield Fields. So this is a very big thing for Dom, because during the same night that Sylvia is born, you end up having where Carlos Santiago, his brother, ends up passing during the battle also. So during one night, you get the news of, hey, your brother ended up not making it out, and you have Marcus literally holding the bits that are left. There's just bits, it was a grenade, of what's left of Carlos, and you have them also like, oh, by the way, Dom, you're also a dad. Your daughter was born today. And this is all just shock at one moment for Dom. Dom doesn't really know how to take this. I believe in the book, even for Ashfield Fields, he's like, he has mixed feelings. He's like, he's feeling for his brother. He just lost his brother, because growing up, him, Carlos, and Marcus were all three like brothers. Marcus is not related to them, but Carlos and Dom are actual brothers. So he just lost his actual brother, and then also his child has just been born and is waiting for him back home. So this is a little bit of a heavy hit to Dom, and this is also where we actually get some portions of the names for Benny and Sylvia. So with Benedicto, we actually have it where his first name is actually the middle name of Carlos. It was Carlos Benedicto Santiago was his full name. While he was still alive, Dom actually gave the middle name of Benedicto, Carlos's middle name, to the first name of Benedicto. So that's where we get Benedicto. And then after Sylvia was born, her middle name is Carla. Carla was actually Carlos, but the female version being Carla, and he gave it to Sylvia. So you have where his first name was given to Sylvia and his middle name was given to Benedicto. So I thought that was really interesting because I always did think if someone's really lore heavy because of how close everyone was with Marcus when it came to Dom and Carlos, I was like, okay, I get Dominic is JD's middle name, but you couldn't have named him like Carlos Dominic Santiago or something like that. But you do see that it actually was Dom who already took care of the naming portion for Carlos. So I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense. You know, Carlos's memory was already passed on, even though the memory didn't go that long. We'll get to it. But the memory was already passed on, and to pass on Dom's memory, he gave it to JD when Marcus had his child. So, in a way, it's very bittersweet with how it all goes, but it's Gears of War. Bittersweet's basically the entire antithesis of the story. It is also important, at least, to mention the age of both Benedicto and Sylvia. Benny was born in 4 BE, so that makes him 4 years old when Emergence Day occurs, and when it comes to Sylvia, she was 2 BE, so she would have been 2 during Emergence Day. They both are very, very young, and during the time of peace, when the war is finally called off, that is when we have a younger Sylvia, roughly around 2, and we have Benedicto around 4, and they're over at the playground, and you learn that the Santiagos have been living basically in an apartment, and they finally have made it to actually renting out and living inside of a actual home now. So there's bedrooms for the kids, and this is the one we hear about in the book also. This is the one they have before Maria goes missing. Again, we're going to get to that in a moment. But this house is the one they rent out, and they now have their full family house, and they're all living there very happily. And we have it actually where Dom is actually going to be getting permanent leave soon. He's actually, I guess for Dom, they don't need commandos anymore now that the Pendulum Wars is over. So he's getting permanent leave coming up. So he's actually going to be retiring from the military to be with his family. I'm assuming it's not as easy as just, hey, the war's over, you can leave now. I'm assuming he's on leave with his family after the war, and he's going to be going back, probably finishing up like the final little stint he's got, and he's going to be out for good. This all happens before E-Day, and once E-Day hits, he's basically enlisted to staying in there full-time permanently once again. Speaking of E-Day, we should probably cover that when it comes to Benny and Sylvia. So, on E-Day is actually the same day that the kids were sent off to Maria's parents to kind of just watch over because Maria wanted to give Dom a day off. This is the same one we see actually in Gears of War 2. The dream that Dom is having is the day, it was E-Day before everything happened with like his children and his parents and Maria's parents. He's having this dream of being woken up by Maria. We learn through the comics that after he, is woken up by Maria and they're celebrating their day off from the kids, just the two of them, that E-Day occurs, and one of the hardest hit areas is Ephyra. Southern Ephyra is where you actually find Maria's parents, and they get hit directly, like literally directly. They are on top of a minor E-hole, and all 4 of them are taken down. Maria's parents, Benny, and Sylvia are all dropped on E-Day. E-Day is the last time we ever see Benny and Sylvia. The sadder part is that during E-Day we lose many people, but we have Dom and Maria grieving over all of this. And the saddest part is that with Benny and Sylvia, they are never found from when they go into the hole. They never find the bodies once again. They do find Maria's parents, and they get buried over at Mercy, but as for the children, they're never found. So Maria takes this extremely, extremely hard. Her own children, she isn't even able to lay them to rest because they can't even find the bodies anywhere. Normally, I would end a video with kind of like, this is where they passed, or this is the end of their story, and here's what it is. I do cover the legacy a bit, but it is a little hard to talk about this with a 4 and 2-year-old, so the best I can kind of do is like at least tell you what happens with like Maria and how Dom handled this kind of. Because again, very serious subject matter of losing children. Unfortunately, in the Gears of War world, this is a very normal thing, but it is still a very sad thing. So after both of them are basically missing, don't worry, we'll explain the missing part. We have it where Maria goes into a very, very heavy depression and later on into a form of paranoia she ends up entering into. Dom is also taking this very hard, but Dom has also suffered trauma already. This does not excuse how everyone handles trauma. Everyone handles it differently, but Dom has already covered trauma before, like losing his brother and seeing what was left of his brother. We also have it where Dom has also he's more optimistic than Maria in a lot of this. Like, he's still seeing a future with Maria, and and a future family they can still have. Maria kind of sees like her children and everything that she would have in her life gone. Remember, her parents, along with Dom's parents are also gone, but both of their parents are gone, and this was all during the time her children were taken from her too. So Maria is in a very heavy depression. Now and then she kind of comes out of it, but she always recedes back into the depression that she has. And this all kind of culminates throughout the years where she starts to think she sees her children. She thinks she sees Benny, she thinks she sees Sylvia, and this is worrying of Dom because Dom is under the impression, as is everyone else to rightfully have the impression of, that their children are gone and are not coming back. But Maria is very hell-bent on believing that they are still out there. They never found them. They could be out there somewhere in the world. Again, this is a 4- and 2-year-old wandering the world. I have a few doubts that this could be a thing, but Maria believes it. So it does come to a head at one point where Maria does actually go off in search of her children by herself. She takes no supplies, nothing, she just leaves. And this is where we have Dom trying to find his wife for roughly about 10 years, a decade he's trying to find Maria. The reason Maria left was because she was under the belief her children were still out there and she was going to go and find them. So when we finally figure out she's a part of a stranded camp, she's probably been bouncing camps trying to get information or to find her children. Much like we have Dom, who he's been searching for Maria throughout the stranded camps. So it kind of, in a way, is Dom's journey, but Maria's journey looking for her children, which is unfortunately a futile effort. But to be fair, many people thought with Dom's journey looking for Maria, that would also be a futile effort. So it's a very sad story. That's basically where we get the end of the children for Benny and Sylvia. But, you know, you always have to look at it as silver lining. I am not the most religious person in the world, but when it does come to the belief of everyone being together on the other side, you do have it where the entire Santiago family is once again together. So wherever, for the All Fathers, for the belief in them, wherever their afterlife is in the world of Gears, I can guarantee they're all together once again. Even the grandparents, everyone's all together. Carlos is there too, like, hey, it's nice to see the kids. They're like, oh, and you named Sylvia's middle name after me. That's good to hear, bro. I like to see that. Welcome to the other side. Cocktails are right over here. You know, to brighten it up. You know, we're not going to talk about the sad stuff. We have good stuff to talk about too, but that will do it. I know this is a little shorter of a video than I normally do, but we do have the time span of these characters being 4 years and 2 years, so there's not a lot of in-between we can cover. So I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you all for making things possible. Thank the patrons for making things possible. And when we come back, talking more Gears of Wars, baby. I'll see you on the next one. Later!